What's up? I'm Lily. Revenge Crown brings you the stories that keep you hooked. If that sounds good, smash subscribe and let's go. The reception fell silent. 200 guests stopped mid-conversation, forks hovering over salmon and risotto. My mother stood at the head table, radiant in her coral dress, holding an envelope I'd watched my new father-in-law hand me during the receiving line 30 minutes earlier. As the matriarch of this family, Mom continued, her voice carrying across the ballroom, I believe in equitable distribution of resources. Rachel's boutique needs capital, and Claire has always been the selfish one. This is an opportunity for her to finally contribute to this family. My sister Rachel stood up, adjusting her bridesmaid dress.
Exactly.
You've always had everything handed to you, Claire. The least you can do is help family. I felt my husband Marcus's hand on my knee under the table. He squeezed once, then reached down for his briefcase. The leather one he'd insisted on bringing to our own wedding reception, which I thought was odd until this exact moment. Mrs. Patterson, Marcus said, his voice calm and measured. That envelope contains a check made payable to Claire Donovan Claire Whitmore now only, not to you, not to Rachel. To my wife, Mom laughed, the sound tinkling across the shocked silence. Don't be ridiculous. I'm her mother. What's hers is the family's, especially when her sister is struggling. I'm not struggling, Rachel interjected. I'm building something, but families help each other, right, Claire? Or are you too good for us now that you've married money? I've been the family scapegoat for 28 years. The daughter who wasted money on law school instead of being practical. The one who moved out at 22 instead of staying home to contribute. The sister who chose a corporate law career instead of helping Rachel with her third failed business venture. Marcus clicked open his briefcase. I need everyone to stay exactly where they are. Don't touch that envelope, Mrs. Patterson. Excuse me? Mom's face flushed red. From his briefcase, Marcus produced a document folder and his phone. He tapped the screen twice, and I heard the ringing of a video call being answered. Good evening, Mr. Whitmore, came a gravelly voice from the phone's speaker. Detective Barnes, Marcus replied. Thank you for standing by. I'm activating the plan we discussed. My mother's face went white. What is this? Marcus set his phone on the table, screen facing outward. I could see a man in a police uniform on the screen. This is Detective Raymond Barnes of the Metro Police Department. I've been monitoring this situation on Mr. Whitmore's request. Mrs. Patterson, you are currently in possession of property that doesn't belong to you. I strongly suggest you place that envelope on the table and step away from it. This is absurd, Rachel said, but her voice wavered.
It's a family matter. Theft is not a family matter, Detective Barnes said. It's a criminal matter.
The check in question was made payable to a specific individual. Taking it as theft, regardless of familial relationships. Mom set the envelope down like it had burned her hand. I was just holding it. For safekeeping. No, I said, speaking for the first time since her announcement. My voice was steady. You announced to 200 witnesses that you were redistributing my property to Rachel. Detective Barnes, I'd like to press charges for attempted theft and theft by deception. I'm also requesting a restraining order. Claire, Dad finally spoke up from his seat. Don't be dramatic. Your mother was just trying to help Rachel. Marcus pulled out another document. Mr. Patterson, this is a civil complaint I'll be filing Monday morning for the $67,000 that Claire has loaned to this family over the past 6 years. Bank records show regular transfers from Claire's account to accounts belonging to your wife and Rachel. We have documentation that these were demanded, not offered, and were never repaid despite promises. Those were gifts, Mom said quickly. Funny, Marcus continued, pulling out his phone and scrolling. I have text messages where you specifically promised repayment. November 2022, just $5,000 to hold us over. We'll pay you back by Christmas. March 2023, Rachel needs $8,000 for inventory. We'll repay you when her business takes off. Should I continue? My mother-in-law, Catherine, stood up from her seat. She'd been quiet until now, watching with the calculating eyes of a woman who'd built a commercial real estate empire from nothing. I think we need to address something else. Patricia, before the wedding you approached me privately. You suggested that the check we were giving Claire and Marcus would be better used if made payable to you. You said Claire wouldn't mind, that she'd want to help her struggling sister. The room erupted in whispers. I would never, Mom started. Catherine held up her phone. I recorded our conversation. Virginia is a one-party consent state for recordings, as I'm sure Claire knows from her legal education. Would you like me to play it for everyone? That won't be necessary, Marcus said. Detective Barnes, did you hear Mrs. Whitmore's testimony? I did. The detective's voice came through clearly. Mrs. Patterson, I'm going to need you to remain at this location. I'm dispatching officers to take your statement. This is now an active investigation for attempted theft, conspiracy to commit fraud, and financial exploitation. Rachel grabbed Mom's arm. This is insane. She's our family. You can't do this to us. I can, I said, standing up. My wedding dress felt like armor. I've been funding your failures for 6 years, Rachel. 3 businesses, all collapsed because you spent the capital on luxury items instead of actual business expenses. Remember the boutique on 5th Street? The $15,000 I gave you that you spent on a trip to Monaco? That was for networking, Rachel hissed. With Instagram influencers, I replied. None of whom ever promoted your store. It closed in 6 months. Marcus pulled out another document. This is a forensic accounting report we commissioned 3 months ago. It details every penny Claire has given your family since 2019, $67,000 total. Not a single payment has been returned. Additionally, there are 37 documented instances of emotional manipulation, guilt tripping, and financial coercion via text message, email, and recorded phone calls. You recorded us? Dad looked betrayed. Virginia is a one-party consent state, I repeated. I was party to every conversation. It's perfectly legal. My Aunt Marie stood up from a middle table. Patricia, is this true? Have you been stealing from Claire? Not stealing, Mom said desperately. Borrowing. Family helps family. Help goes both ways, Catherine interjected coldly. When Marcus and I gave Claire a car for her law school graduation, you demanded she give it to Rachel because Rachel needed it more. When we offered to pay off Claire's student loans, you called it creating unfair advantages between sisters and pressured her to decline. You've spent years ensuring Claire had less while Rachel had more. Marcus nodded to someone near the door. 2 police officers entered the ballroom. The guests parted like water. Mrs. Patricia Patterson? The taller officer said. Mom's legs seemed to give out. She sat down hard. This is my daughter's wedding. And you chose to commit a crime at it, the officer replied. We need you to come with us to give a statement. I'm not going anywhere, Mom said, but her voice shook. Detective Barnes's voice came through the phone again. Mrs. Patterson, you have 2 choices. You can go voluntarily to give a statement, or my officers can arrest you in front of all these witnesses. I suggest voluntary compliance. Rachel jumped up. You can't arrest her for trying to help me. Actually, I said, looking at my sister for the first time, we can, and we're going to. Marcus, show them the other documents. Marcus pulled out a thick folder. These are cease and desist letters prepared for both Patricia and Rachel Patterson. You are forbidden from contacting Claire directly. All communication must go through our attorney. Violation will result in immediate legal action. Your attorney? Rachel's voice went shrill. Since when do you have an attorney? Since I became one, I said. And since Marcus's family put me in touch with the best litigation firm in the state. Every text message demanding money. Every guilt trip about being selfish. Every time you've told me I owe this family. All documented, all actionable. The police officers moved closer to my mother. Ma'am, we need you to come with us. Mom looked at me with something I'd never seen before. Fear, not anger, not manipulation. Actual fear. Claire, please. I'm your mother. You were my mother when you spent my childhood college fund on Rachel's Sweet 16 party, I said. My voice remained level, calm. You were my mother when you told me I was selfish for wanting to go to college instead of working to support the family. You were my mother when you threw out my acceptance letters and told me I'd never amount to anything. Marcus stood beside me, his hand on my back. Mrs. Patterson, the full civil suit will be filed Monday. We're seeking the $67,000 in repayment, plus interest, plus damages for emotional distress. Dad found his voice. We don't have that kind of money. That's not our problem, Catherine said crisply. You should have thought about that before decades of financial abuse. The officers escorted my mother toward the door. She looked back once, her face crumpling. Rachel, do something. Rachel stood frozen, her champagne glass still in her hand. She looked at me, and I saw the moment she realized it was over. The golden child, the favorite, the one who could do no wrong, was finally facing consequences. Claire, she said, her voice small, we can work this out. Family doesn't sue family. Family doesn't steal from family, I replied. But you never saw me as family. You saw me as a resource. An ATM with an emotional override button. Marcus closed his briefcase with a decisive click. Officers, will be at the station tomorrow to give our full statements and provide all documentation. Tonight is supposed to be a celebration. As my mother was let out, not arrested, but escorted for questioning, the ballroom remained silent. 200 guests who'd witnessed the whole thing. 200 people who now knew exactly what my family had done. Catherine walked over and took my hand. Are you all right, darling? I looked around the ballroom, my wedding. The day I'd planned for 18 months. The day my mother had decided to steal from me in front of everyone I loved. I'm perfect, I said, and meant it. Marcus turned to the DJ. I think we should continue the celebration. Unless my wife wants to leave? I thought about it. Leaving would let them win. It would let them take this day from me too. No, I said firmly. This is my wedding. Let's dance. The DJ, bless him, started the music back up. Slowly, conversations resumed. Guests approached us, some to apologize for my family, others to congratulate us on our marriage. A few to quietly say they'd witnessed similar treatment over the years and were glad I finally stood up for myself. My father left shortly after the police took my mother. Rachel stayed, drinking heavily at the bar, shooting me venomous looks across the room. I didn't care. Marcus and I had our first dance as husband and wife. His parents joined us on the floor, then my college friends, then colleagues from my law firm. By the end of the night, the dance floor was packed, and the earlier drama felt like a surreal dream. But it wasn't a dream. It was justice. Monday morning, I walked into the offices of Sterling and Associates, the litigation firm Catherine had connected me with. Marcus came with me, carrying 2 briefcases full of documentation. Attorney Jennifer Sterling was a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair and a reputation for destroying opponents in court. She took one look at our documentation and smiled. This is one of the clearest cases of financial exploitation I've seen, she said, flipping through bank statements. Your mother has a pattern going back years. And the attempted theft at your wedding in front of 200 witnesses. That's gift-wrapped. What are we looking at? I asked. Civilly? We'll get your money back, plus interest and damages. I'd estimate $180,000 to $220,000 total, criminally. That's up to the prosecutor, but attempted theft and conspiracy to commit fraud are serious charges. Your mother could face jail time, Marcus leaned forward. What about the financial abuse? The years of manipulation? Jennifer smiled. In court, we call that demonstrating a pattern of behavior. It makes the current charges more serious and the civil case ironclad. Every text message, every guilt trip, every demand for money, it all paints a picture of systematic exploitation. My sister, I said. She's been the primary beneficiary of the money they've taken from me. We'll add her to the civil suit, Jennifer confirmed. Joint and several liability. They're both responsible for the full amount. If your mother can't pay, your sister is on the hook. Over the next 2 weeks, the case built momentum. The police investigation revealed that my mother had approached 3 other wealthy wedding guests, suggesting they give their gifts to her instead of to me. One had recorded the conversation on their phone. Another had already reported her to hotel security for suspicious behavior. Rachel's boutique, the one Mom wanted my $50,000 to fund, was revealed to be largely fictional. She'd rented a space but never stocked it. The urgent need for capital was actually Rachel wanting money for a down payment on a luxury condo. My mother was charged with attempted theft, conspiracy to commit fraud, and financial exploitation of a family member. The last charge, rarely used, carried serious weight because of the documented pattern of abuse. The civil suit was filed for $215,000, $67,000 in repayment, $48,000 in interest, and $100,000 in damages for emotional distress and lost opportunities. Jennifer explained that the lost opportunities claim was based on investments I could have made with the money they'd taken, calculated using conservative market returns. My parents hired an attorney who immediately tried to negotiate. Jennifer refused all settlement offers that didn't include full repayment plus damages. Rachel tried calling me 17 times in the first week. Then she tried showing up at my office. Security escorted her out, and we filed for a temporary restraining order. The judge granted it immediately after reviewing the evidence. My father sent an email saying I was destroying the family over money. I didn't respond. Marcus did, forwarding the email to our attorney with a note. Additional evidence of harassment. 6 weeks after my wedding. My parents' attorney requested a meeting. Jennifer agreed with conditions. I didn't have to attend, and any settlement required full payment plus damages. The meeting lasted 4 hours. My parents' attorney emerged looking defeated. Jennifer called me that evening. They're settling. Full amount, $215,000, paid in installments over 2 years. Rachel is co-signing the payment plan. If they miss a single payment, we get a judgment for the full remaining amount plus additional penalties. They agreed to that? I asked, stunned. They didn't have a choice, Jennifer said. The criminal charges are still pending. The prosecutor offered a plea deal, no jail time if they settle the civil suit in full and complete a financial crimes diversion program. Your mother took it. The alternative was up to 3 years in prison. I sat down on my couch, Marcus beside me. It's really over? The legal part, yes, the emotional part. That's up to you. The first payment arrived 30 days later. $8,958.33. Exactly as stipulated in the settlement agreement. 24 payments twice a year until the debt was cleared. My mother sent an email, the only form of contact allowed under the restraining order, saying she hoped I was happy with myself for ruining her life. I deleted it without responding. Rachel posted on social media about betrayal by blood and the true meaning of family. Her boutique never opened. She got a job as a sales associate at a department store. The post stopped after our attorney sent her a reminder about the non-disparagement clause in the settlement. My father tried reaching out through my Aunt Marie. The message was simple. Couldn't I forgive them and move past this? Couldn't we be a family again? I told Marie to tell him that I already had a family, Marcus, his parents. The friends who'd supported me through years of being the scapegoat. People who loved me without demanding I'd prove my worth by giving them money. The second payment arrived on time, then the third. Each one felt like validation. Marcus and I used the settlement money to start a scholarship fund for first-generation college students from financially abusive families. The Claire Whitmore Foundation for Educational Freedom. It felt right, using their money to help people escape situations like mine. I don't have nightmares anymore about disappointing my mother. I don't check my bank account with dread, wondering if she somehow accessed it. I don't feel guilty for having things they don't. At my wedding, my mother tried to steal $50,000 from me in front of everyone I loved. She thought she could do it because she'd been doing it for years. She thought I'd just accept it, like I'd accepted everything else. She was wrong. And for the first time in my life, I felt free.